Bring the line up, 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 bring the line up.
Hello, my name is Clarissa Barboza, and I'm a part of a 4-member team with Cara Allen, Voltaire Paredes, and Daniel Taylor. Together, we make up the corporate leadership of Prism Entertainment. We'll also be discussing our company's expansion into Taiwan and South Korea. I will be handling the introduction for today's presentation. Voltaire will be handling and speaking about the country analysis. I will be also taking on the competitive analysis, including the Porter's 5 forces model. Daniel will be discussing our entry modes. Cara will be discussing the culture of both countries, business customs and etiquette, as well as the communication of those countries. And finally, Daniel will end the presentation with our conclusion.
Hello, my name is Voltaire, and I will be going over the pestle analysis for Prism's entry into the South Korean and Taiwanese market. Pestle analysis is a strategic framework for analyzing macro environmental factors. The P of pestle represents the political factors. First, we will look at U.S.-South Korean relations. This diplomatic relationship dates as far back as Korea's Joseon dynasty, in which the 1882 Treaty of Peace, Amity, Commerce, and Navigation was signed. This treaty ended in 1905, just before Japan assumed control of Korea from 1910 until the end of World War II, following Japan's surrender in 1945. The nation was divided into 2 separate nations in 1948, with the Republic of Korea occupying the South and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea in North Korea. The U.S. led South Korea's defense, joined by the United Nations during the Korean War, when China's alliance with North Korea ended in a stalemate. Following this conclusion, in 1953, the U.S. and South Korea signed the Mutual Defense Treaty, which stands to date now. As trust between the U.S. and South Korea has grown over the years, the relationship has evolved into a multi-dimensional partnership, mutually beneficial. U.S.-Taiwan relations. The U.S. and Taiwan have a long-standing, yet complicated relationship. The current U.S. administration under Donald Trump has signed several pro-Taiwan legislations into play. These include the Taiwan Travel Act and the Asia Reassurance Initiative Act, the commitment of support of Taiwan in the 2019 spending bill, and the introduction of the Taiwanese Defense Assessment Commission Act of 2018. The sort of triangle of tension between the US, Taiwan, and China is concerning, to say the least. The US-China relationship is now often deemed the world's most important and complicated bilateral relationship, featuring both deep and wide engagement and intense competition. Now we're going to talk about corruption and political stability of South Korea. When you look at South Korea's big picture, they are progressing politically, socially, and economically. The momentum is headed in the right direction. It wasn't long ago they were fighting a war. There is still the tension and hostility with North Korea. They are establishing their identity as an independent country while competing on a global scale with the most successful governments and countries in the world. As current President Moon Jae-in states, we need a national cleanup. We need to liquidate the old system and build a new South Korea. Only then can we complete the revolution started by the people who rallied with candlelight. Starting over isn't easy, but sometimes it's better to create some distance quickly from the thing that inspired a change. Taiwan's stability. It's difficult to measure. To make great strides while also maintaining a fairly steady economic growth. The more the country progresses, the higher the tensions with China grow. The country has benefited from the US-China trade war due to manufacturers seeking relocation outside of China, as well as Taiwanese businesses in China returning to avoid tariffs. Efforts to repair or reestablish a relationship with China have been attempted, but are often delayed for various reasons. Though Taiwan has shown more of an effort than most of the countries in the Asia Pacific to lessen corruption, there are still issues with bribery and other scandals. The T from pestle represents the technological factors. For South Korea and their technology, they were actually ranked first on Bloomberg's 2017 Innovation Index as the most innovative country in the world. The East Asian country ranked second in the 2018 Best Countries ranking for the most forward-thinking countries in the world. The electronics giant is South Korea's most valuable company and has received more US patents than any company other than IBM since the start of the millennium. This innovation trickles down the supply chain and throughout South Korea's economy. Since the election of the Moon Jae-in administration in May of 2017, South Korea has laid out plans toward a different approach to science and technology, being the pillars of the economy for South Korea. Moon, speaking at a government function in 2017 promoting the fourth industrial revolution, said that technology in the country must be centered on the people too. Now called a people-centered economy, South Korea's government says its strategy consists of three elements: increasing the number of jobs and income, growing innovation, and creating a fair economy. For Taiwan's technological growth, the Ministry of Science and Technology, it's called MOST, is the agency for driving forward scientific and technological innovation, a major pillar of the country's plans for economic growth. In the age of knowledge-based economy, science and technology has become a key driver for growth and national progress for this country. MOST was established with three main goals: promoting nationwide scientific and technological development, supporting academic research, and developing science parks. In 2017, Taiwan ranked third out of 159 nations for broadband download speeds, further reflecting its robust manufacturing industry. The country produces 70% of the world's integrated circuits and 90% of laptops sold around the globe.
Our competitive analysis includes Porter's 5 forces model, and it's used to measure competition, attractiveness, and profitability of an industry or market. It is important for organizations to maintain stability even when direct competition is present. Keeping the 5 forces in mind, it is important to consider rivalry, suppliers, customers, entrants, and substitute products. Although intimidating, rivalry can motivate a business to kick up their market strategies and make price cuts. As far as suppliers are concerned, if there are many vendors who carry what you need, then it is easy to switch to another vendor at any time. However, the fewer there are, the more you are at a supplier's mercy. The strength of buyers can increase the price of your products and services. The more customers there are, the more price control, versus only having a few customers, which gives the customers more buying power. The threat of substitutes is always present, in which your customers may find a cheaper way of attaining a certain product or service. This leads us to the final piece of Porter's 5 Forces business model, threat of new market entrants. For this reason, strong barriers are crucial so that new competitors entering the market will not have an impact on your business. The 3 factors that affect PRISM the most are the buyer power, new entrant markets, and the threat of substitutes. With PRISM expanding into South Korea and Taiwan, we would be a new entrant into that market in which it would take some time to build our credibility. South Korea is vastly advantaged by Netflix, so creating a buy-in for new regional customers could also be challenging. We plan to form partnerships with local entertainment powerhouses to provide content in Taiwan and South Korea. Although we anticipate some setbacks and obstacles during this expansion, we are more than optimistic that we will rise to become a successful entertainment platform.
When developing expansion efforts into South Korea and Taiwan, it is important to consider foreign market entry modes and determine the most appropriate selection for optimal success. To determine the most appropriate mode for our company's expansion, we chose to evaluate the methods utilized by the current leader in the streaming on-demand industry, Netflix. By evaluating Netflix international expansion strategies, PRISM can benefit from the competition's lessons learned through both their failures and their achievements. In a 2018 Harvard Business Review article, author Louis Brennan describes the strategy as a 3-phase process, beginning with selecting via geographical distance, phase 2, investing in content geared toward the preferences of those geographies, and phase 3, using all the knowledge gained from phases 1 and 2 to rapidly expand into an impressive 190 countries. In addition to analyzing the strategy of an industry titan such as Netflix, we also decided to examine the tactics of a new entrant, Apple TV+. A 2018 article in The Verge describes how Apple, a world leader in consumer technology, strived to overcome obstacles such as media control on pricing and bundling in much of the same way Netflix did with original programming. One such example is Apple's move to sign a multi-year deal with Oprah Winfrey to develop new shows. A pattern that appears consistent between both Apple TV Plus and Netflix are licensing deals, and a core goal of developing original content. Taking this information into consideration, it is apparent that licensing is the best foreign market entry tactic for PRISM to employ. The tactic's success with both Netflix and Apple TV Plus supports this decision. Investopedia.com defines licensing as a licensing agreement is a written contract between 2 parties in which a property owner permits another party to use that property under a specific set of parameters. This clearly demonstrates how licensing is the best solution for PRISM to expand its streaming on-demand service to both South Korea and Taiwan. Entering the markets by licensing local content will allow PRISM to gain a threshold in the market and then grow to the point of producing original content tailored to both South Korea and Taiwan.
So, discussing the culture in South Korea and Taiwan, hierarchy is a pivotal value in both cultures. Both cultures respect elders because respect comes from experience that is only gained through time. According to Hofstede's dimension of national culture, and the dimension of power distance measures the extent to which the less powerful member of institutional organizations within a country expect and accept that the power is distributed unequally. Power distance, both Taiwanese Mandarin language and in Korean language, emphasize formal and informal language. Both languages distinguish how close you are to the person you're having a conversation with, if you are older or younger than that person, and both languages distinguish these characteristics because they are indicators of building a harmonious relationship. Another pivotal value for these cultures are harmonious relationships. Taiwan and South Korean culture emphasizes their top priority in solidarity, courtesy, and modesty. Saving face is illustrated through solidarity because they believe in holding back unpopular opinions and not disagreeing in public situations to save face. Solidarity, managers will strive for consistency in every decision that they make. Courtesy, conflicts are usually resolved in between compromising and negotiation. And this moves us to the collectivism culture. In collectivism cultures, which Taiwanese culture and South Korean cultures, their group identity is very important. Rather than thinking of yourself simply as an individual unit, you find that the group you're a part of is very important. So again, according to Hofstede's dimension of natural culture, the dimension of individualism measures the degree of interdependence a society maintains among its members. So Taiwan scored 17 and South Korea scoring 18 on this index. It's concluded that both countries have a collectivism society. This is a manifest in a close long-term commitment to the member group to be a family, or extended relationships. So let's just discuss a few unique business, custom, and etiquettes and practices between South Korea and Taiwan. I've chosen 3 from Taiwan and also 3 from South Korea. So let's talk about Taiwan. Within Taiwan, the oldest and the most senior person should be greeted or introduced first out of respect. Titles are very important in Taiwanese culture, and foreigners should address their Taiwanese counterparts by using Mr., Mrs., or any academic title by the surname. The exchange of business cards is usually taking place after the initial introductions. It is recommended that you use both hands to give and receive business cards with the typeface facing the recipient. Business entertainment is an important aspect of Taiwanese business culture, and meetings are most likely to be followed by dinners and a little karaoke. Tea is served at the end of the meal and usually means bye-bye, no more party. So moving on to South Korea. South Korea's 3 unique business customs and etiquettes and practices are: 1, Koreans have 3 names. They're used in order of surname, generation name, and then given name. If you're unsure how to address individuals, generally Koreans will offer you a name which may be more westernized name of their Korean name. In Korea, you ask only open-ended questions that do not require yes or no answer. So older and senior delegates should be referred to at all times. Songsaengnim means respected person, and this is frequently used when addressing someone of a higher position. Adopting these unique customs, etiquettes, and practices secures our path for success when expanding into the markets of South Korea and Taiwan.
As you can see from the information we have presented today, both South Korea and Taiwan are filled with opportunity and business potential. Both countries have and continue to experience rapid economic and industrial growth. This is the primary reason we chose to expand to these 2 unique countries, who serve as the homeland for corporate powerhouses such as Samsung, LG, and Quanta. Today, we have introduced you to our streaming on-demand service, Prism, and we have discussed how we plan to expand our organization to both South Korea and Taiwan. After analyzing the history and political environment of both countries, as well as the existing competition, we determined that licensing local and global content would be the most effective and efficient way to enter these markets. Once we have established ourselves, we then plan to start producing original content tailored to both geographic markets and also distributing that content to our already existing markets in the US. Cara gave an overview of both countries' cultures and communication styles. Equipping ourselves with this knowledge will be advantageous when we begin conducting business transactions and establishing partnerships. We are extremely excited to begin this journey and look forward to the success our hard work and determination delivers.
We expect the maximum amount of points because we're all driven individuals who work very hard together despite our crazy schedules.
And because the grades should reflect the work that went into the project.
And because we're the only group who decked out the presentation with a backdrop.
And because we're the only group that has someone who learned Korean. 안녕하세요. 저는 카라. 미국 사람이에요. 감사합니다.